Oh, there's a baby there. Look at the baby. Benezinha there.
We say Twende because Twende means let's go. So, Twende, everybody.
Estamos indo no safari agora.
Jumbo, everyone, I think it's time I introduce myself. I am not just a voice on the radio. My name is Alyssa, and it is my absolute pleasure to be your safari guide today. Now, just a couple of safety reminders before we head out onto the reserve. Please remember to remain seated with your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times. If you guys would like to take photos or videos, remember to stay seated as you do so, and hold on to those cameras tightly because if they fall, we will not be able to go back and get them for quite some time. The rhinos are known for taking selfies with their feet. Anyways, let's head right on into the first ecosystem of the day, the Little Ituri Forest. As it is a forest, that means that lots of our friends will be hiding in the brush and behind the trees. So keep a close eye out, and if you spot anybody I don't, just go ahead and shout it out, and I'll be sure to teach you all about them. On our left-hand side, we have the saddle-billed stork, that black and white bird you see. They are called saddle-billed for the yellow saddle shape of their bill. Their wingspan is about 9 feet long, which is about the same as the width of the canopy above your heads. And as you can see, they are hanging out together. That is because saddle-billed storks are known to mate for life. I tried asking them how they make it work, but they don't have any vocal cords, but I think that's answer enough. Now on our right-hand side, let's see who we can find, friends. It's the okapi. Sorry, he's a little far out of my view. That is the okapi. The okapi look like they've got some zebra party pants on. However, they are not related to the zebra. They're actually related to the giraffe. Oh. As you can see, he is hanging out by himself. That is because okapis are quite shy and reclusive animals, and for that reason, we actually did not know that they were real until 1901. They were thought to be a mythical creature, a combination between a donkey, a giraffe, and a zebra. And they got one of those, right? But surprisingly, it wasn't a zebra. Speaking of mythical creatures, the closest we'll ever get to a unicorn, on my left-hand side, we have the black rhino. If you ever want to differentiate a black rhino from a white rhino, just take a look at their mouths. The black rhino has what's known as a prehensile upper lip, which means that they can use that upper lip kind of like a finger in order to graze at leaves and grab at leaves and help themselves eat. The white rhino does not have this and instead just has a wider snout. Now, the black rhino, in comparison to the white rhino, is much more critically endangered, although we do want to protect both of them as much as we can. Now remember, our friends in the forest do like to hide, so keep a close eye out. Now coming up on our left-hand side, deep in the forest, it's the ghost of the forest, also known as the bongo. Bongo is called the ghost of the forest because they are quite excellent hiders, as you guys can see, or can't see. They have horns that tilt backwards, which allow them to dive their heads deeper into the brush without being seen. Now, the grayish-brown antelopes that you see just a little closer and a little clearer, those are known as greater kudu. These are female greater kudu, as they do not have horns. And a group of greater kudu is called a forkle, like a fork you eat with a mouth at the end. Now, unfortunately, the forest is in danger, and this is due to deforestation, people coming in and chopping down trees in order to use them for paper and paper products. So the best way that we can help these animals is to conserve, recycle whatever paper we use, and reuse whatever we can. These small differences we make in our homes will make a huge difference in saving their homes, so keep that in mind next time you guys use paper. Now we are in the Safi River, a water ecosystem, home to the hippo, as you can see on our right-hand side. If you guys can't see him, please do not stand. Make sure to stay seated, and hopefully we will find the rest of the bloat over on our left-hand side. But if we do not, you guys can also check them out in the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. We have a really cool underwater hippo pool there that shows you how they look underwater. Now on our left-hand side, those grayish-white birds you see hanging out on that island are known as pink-backed pelicans. They They are called pinkback because during the mating season they will develop pink feathers in order to attract their mates. The mating season can begin at any time, so who knows, maybe we'll see those pink feathers tomorrow. Maybe we'll see them in a year.
Primeira vez que eu tô vendo urubu aqui
Now,
nos Estados
pelicans are one of
Unidos.
the oldest bird species in the world. There are only about 8 pelican species left. And the one thing that they have in common are those huge bills of theirs. If you guys have ever seen the movie Finding Nemo, you can remember that scene where Dory and Marlin were hanging out in a bird's mouth. That was a pelican. Now they use those big bills to filter out water so that then they can catch their food.
That's the bird that was talking to you with.
Although remember, fish are friends, not food.
And I never have seen those.
Now, I hope Captain Hook is not on board because his greatest enemy is coming on the left-hand side. TikTok Croc himself, the Nile crocodile. Now, the Nile crocodile is the largest of the crocodilian species.
A Brianna morre de medo de
They can grow to be
crocodilo.
up to 20 feet long from snout to tail. They are also about the same as the height of a giraffe if you want to compare them. Now, on hotter days, they'll hang out with their mouths open, and this is not the crocodile waiting for lunch to crawl in. This is actually just a crocodile's way of cooling itself down. Just like when dogs panic when they get hot, they will open their mouths in order to release heat.
Ela tem medo
They
de
actually don't need to wait for
crocodilo,
food
não
to them
gosta.
as to come to them, as they only need to eat once a month. However, they are opportunists and will eat whatever chance they get. Now, as I mentioned, we do have different ecosystems here on the reserve, which means not only different animals, but different plant life. So take a look at the trees, the leaves, and the foliage, as I'll tell you what kind of ecosystem we're in and where we might find our animal friends. For example, in the forest, we have lots of trees, so we'll find our friends hiding in the trees. But the baobab tree coming up on our right-hand side is telling me we'll find our next friends wide out in the open in the next ecosystem. As you guys can see, the baobab tree looks like it's got its roots wide up in the air. For that reason, it is also known as the upside-down tree. If you guys pass by the Tree of Life on your way over here, you guys pass by another baobab tree. However, the Tree of Life is in bloom all year round, while these guys will only be in bloom about 3 months out of the year. They do so in order to conserve water, which is beneficial not only to the trees themselves, but to the animals of this ecosystem. As when water is scarce, they will dig into those trees and tap into the water. And those trees can hold hundreds of thousands of gallons of water, making them quite useful when we can't find water out here.
Close to the door, okay?
Now, this new ecosystem I've been raving about is known as the West Savannah, and as I mentioned, we can find our friends pretty easily wide out in the open. I can see some Ankoli cattle a little further on the path, but we'll get a closer look at them as we move along, so I'll teach you about them, chat about them when we get closer.
Ooh, giraffes. Girafa.
In the meantime, let's see who we can find over on our left-hand
And I
side.
haven't
Let's
seen
take a
one in
look,
my
shall we, folks? And it looks like it's the spotted hyena. We'll get a better view as we get a little closer. Unfortunately, spotted hyenas have a bad reputation for being scavengers.
Yeah,
However, they are not scavengers. They are actually quite excellent hunters. The females are the hunters of the clan, as they will go out and hunt and eat whatever they please. And whatever's left over will go to the males. And for that reason, they are thought to be scavengers because the males eat leftovers. Now, the females are the hunters of the species because they live in a matriarchy, which means that all of the females outrank all of the males. In other words, girls rule. Now, on our left-hand side, you guys can find some Maasai giraffes. The signs above your heads may say reticulated, but the reticulated giraffes that used to live on the reserve have migrated over to the Animal Kingdom Lodge. So these instead are Maasai. The only real difference is their patterns, but they are equally as beautiful. Now, as you guys can see, most of these giraffes are munching and crunching. That is because they will spend up to 20 hours of their day eating. Doesn't leave room for much else, so they'll spend about 20 minutes of their day sleeping and naps of about 2 to 5 minutes. Sorry, 30 minutes of their day. Now, because they spend so much time eating, their tongues are very important to them. They have a prehensile tongue, which means that, like the upper lip of the black rhino, they can use those tongues kind of like a finger in order to grasp at leaves and eat them. Now, those tongues are also a deep purple color, as you guys can see. That is in order to protect them from sunburn. Imagine eating 20 hours a day with a sunburned tongue. I can barely handle a brain freeze. Now, to our left, these Ankoli cattle that I mentioned earlier, they are also known as Watusi cattle, named after the tribe that originally domesticated them. They are one of the only domesticated animals you can find here on the reserve. As you guys can see, those horns of theirs are pretty large. They can grow to be up to 6 feet in length from tip to tip. But they are not just for decoration. They also work kind of like an air conditioning unit. That is because they have blood vessels inside those horns, so when they keep those horns cool, they can cool down the rest of their body temperature.
Whoa.
Pretty neat, right? Wish I had a built-in air conditioner. Now, coming up on our right-hand side in just a moment, you guys will find some white-bearded wildebeests. A group of white-bearded wildebeests, like the one you're about to see, is called an implausibility. That is because it is implausible or unthinkable just how large these groups can grow to be. This is a very small group, as they will typically gather in groups of 20 to 500 pairs, but their largest group can consist of up to 1.5 million of them. They will gather in this group when migrating, and that migratory herd is so large it can actually be seen all the way from outer space. Now, those smaller antelopes that you see on our right-hand side are known as springbok. They are tiny, but they are mighty. They are actually one of the top 10 fastest land mammals in the world. They can run up to 60 miles per hour, just 10 miles per hour less than the maximum speed of a cheetah. And they are called springbok because they can spring up in the air up to 6 feet and spring forward up to 13 feet. Now, that jumping motion is known as pronking. However, they will typically only do that pronking motion when they are in danger, so we probably won't see it today. Overall, for their speed and agility, springboks are often used as mascots for sports teams, especially over in Africa where they're from. You can get a better glimpse of them now over on our right-hand side. They're a little further off in the trees. Now, they also do closely resemble the Thompson's gazelle, but if you put them side by side, you'll see that these springboks are much smaller, so that's a good way to tell them apart. Now, I'm seeing some knocked over trees here. Let's see if we can find the culprit, shall we? Any guesses? Don't look, don't look. Just guess. A hippo, that's a pretty solid guess. Those things are very big and very strong. Anyone else?
Elephant.
Elephants, that's a pretty solid guess too. I guess we're gonna have to see. Alligators are pretty strong, but they do like hanging out in the water, so I don't think they'd knock over a tree. And whoever guessed elephant, you are correct. Over on our right-hand side, you guys can find the male African elephant. I can tell that he's a male because he's hanging out by himself. The males will tend to leave the herd once they are fully grown, while the females will stick together in that herd and raise their children together. Males will either hang out by themselves or with one or two other bachelors, so sometimes you'll see them with one or two buddies. Now, you can tell he's an African elephant by the size and shape of his ears. Asian elephants, have smaller ears, while African elephants have larger ears that are shaped like the continent they're named after, Africa. Now, if you guys saw him flapping his ears back and forth, that is not the elephant trying to fly away like Dumbo. That is actually just an elephant's way of keeping itself cool. That is because, like the Ankoli cattle, they have blood vessels instead of in their horns, in their ears. And so when they flap them back and forth, they can cool themselves down up to 15 degrees. So needless to say, Dumbo was a pretty cool guy, or a pretty fly guy if you ask me. Hopefully we'll get a better glimpse of that elephant that was walking away from us if we come across this bridge. But remember to stay seated, friends. However, if we do not catch a glimpse of him, do not worry. I heard we might find the group up ahead. Now, coming up on our right and left-hand sides, you guys can find some red clay pits. Red clay is filled with lots of delicious vitamins and minerals that are useful to animals such as, you guys guessed it, elephants. As you guys will see in just a moment, over on our right-hand side, there are some tusk marks. That is from elephants digging their tusks in order to loosen that clay and eat it for those delicious nutrients. Now, the elephants in question should be on our left-hand side. But if not, I heard they'll be back later. Use that joke too many times? Now, when we are looking for... Oh, there they are! Nice little surprise, I didn't even see her there. Now, with those gorgeous trunks of theirs, that is one great way to identify them. Those trunks have over 40,000 muscles in them, which is way more than we have in our whole bodies. So it's a great way to identify them, and it is also a very useful part of their body. They use those trunks for several reasons. They'll use them to eat, as you guys may have seen. They will grab food with those trunks and bring them to their mouths. They will also use those trunks to drink, as they can hold up to 5 gallons of water in those trunks of theirs. Now, a final lesser known reason for elephants using those trunks is actually to throw dirt and mud on themselves. Now, this is not a hygiene issue. This is actually just an elephant's way of protecting its skin. That is because, unfortunately, elephants have very sensitive skin and are prone to sunburn, so they will use that dirt kind of like a natural sunscreen to protect their skin. Now, because of that sensitive skin, elephants are also afraid of bees. We actually found this out here. Researchers studying the elephants you actually see right now discovered this, and it was used to solve a very important problem over in Kenya. Unfortunately, in Kenya, farmers were losing their crops due to elephants accidentally coming in and stomping all over them. So in order to help them out, we actually created a solution called a beehive fence. As the name would suggest, it is a fence made of beehives that surrounds the crops of the farmers. And so once the elephants hear that buzzing with those large ears of theirs, they will turn in the other direction and they won't bother the crops. And the bees get a new safe home for them to live in. And the farmers get a little extra income from the honey that those bees make. So the Elephants and Bees project is a win-win-win for everybody. Now coming up on our left-hand side, we have a flamboyance of flamingos. That's what we call a group of flamingos. Now these in particular are greater flamingos. That is because they are the largest of the flamingo species. However, they are not the greatest. In fact, they are actually the lightest pink of all the flamingos. The lesser flamingo, which you can find over by the Tree of Life, is a brighter color. They get that pink color from the shrimp they consume. Now my friends, take a good look at that island as we make our leave. Is it a familiar shape, friends? It's Mickey, that's right. That actually used to be our property's largest hidden Mickey. That was until we created the solar panel farm. I'll talk about that more in just a second, but on our left-hand side, we might get a better glimpse of those elephants if you want to take a look. So that solar panel farm actually generates enough electricity to power 2 theme parks every single day. So it is a great example of how we can use natural energy to not only protect these lovely animals, but protect ourselves and protect our environment as a whole. Speaking of our environment, we are in a slightly new environment now, a new ecosystem. Instead of the West Savannah, we are now in the East Savannah. As you guys can see, there are a little more trees, a little more foliage. So we will find different animals here, such as the white rhinos up ahead. Now I'm guessing we are in a giraffic jam. These guys might be responsible, but hey, what do I know? Now we're just gonna hold right here till we can get moving again. It looks like Animal Programs is here to help us out. We love these lovely keepers. They do such a great job of taking care of these animals and making sure that we can enjoy them every single day. So if you see one of our keepers in those greenish light green uniforms, go ahead and give them a thumbs up, a thank you, round of applause even, because without them we wouldn't be here. So, and neither would the animals. So we got to be very thankful to them.
Where the rhinos are.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Now, as I was just discussing, we are in the savannah. Unfortunately, the savannah is in danger, but instead of deforestation issues, they deal with mining issues. So people are coming into the savannah and mining for a material known as coltan. And coltan is used to make batteries for electronics, such as your cell phones, your laptops, your tablets, what have you. And so in order to protect these animals and stop the need for mining, we can actually recycle our old electronics. They will take the coltan from those electronics and actually reuse them for new phones. And the rest of the phone parts will be used for other things. For example, if you guys watched, do we have any fans of the Olympics? Olympic fans? If you guys watched the Olympics this year, all of the Olympic medals that were used were actually made entirely out of recycled phones. So a great example of how we can recycle those phones and use them for several purposes, whether it's for saving animals or for entertainment, you know? I didn't even know that we could recycle phones until I got here. I'm sure somebody's got a junk drawer of Blackberries out there. My dad definitely does. All right, friends. Do you see any in Coley cattle? No, because I think we might be on the move. Thank you, thank you. I'll be here all night. I really appreciate the pity laughs. They get me through my day. Now, as I mentioned, we are in a different ecosystem, so we should find different animals. Keep a close eye out. There is more foliage here, but these guys are not as likely to hide as our friends in the forest. So they should still be pretty easy to find. And it looks like up ahead on our left-hand side, we should find a keeper. So when we see them, give them a big thumbs up or a big thank you. Just show them some love because we would not be here without them. Ready, guys? 1, 2, 3. Thank you! Go, keeper, go! hard at work, I see. Now, up ahead, you guys can find some white rhinos. Unfortunately, even though you guys can see them, they cannot see you. That is because they have quite terrible eyesight and can only see about 10 feet in front of them. For that reason, a group of rhinos like the ones you see is called a crash. Now, it looks like they're getting a little excited. Listen, I don't want to race you. You guys can go 35 miles per hour. I can only go 8. Now, I think we might be on our way to detention, folks. You know why? There was a test in class and they caught a couple cheetahs. On our left-hand side, you can find the cheetah, another animal I definitely do not want to race today. They can run from 0 to 40 miles per hour in just 3 strides and can run a maximum of 70 miles per hour. If you ever want to distinguish them from other big cats, just take a look at their tails. They have a white tip on their tails that's unique to them. They also have black tear markings under their eyes that work kind of like how football players put black tape under their eyes. They do so in order to protect their eyes from the glare of the sun, which makes the cheetahs better hunters and evidently better football players. Now coming up, we have Kopi Rocks, which are the home of another big cat. Any guesses, friends? Lions! Man, I'd be lying to you if I said you weren't the smartest truck I've ever had. Now, these are the home to lions. As you can see, they're celebrating the 50th as well. Now, if you guys have ever seen the movie The Lion King, you might know that they live on Pride Rock. Pride Rock is a set of Kopi Rocks just like these, and it's called Pride Rock because a group of lions is called Pride. However, if you guys have ever heard the song The Lion Sleeps Tonight, the lion sleeps part is extremely accurate, as lions will sleep 16 to 20 hours a day. However, the tonight part is a little less accurate, as they are nocturnal, so they will sleep during the day, and at night they will wake up to hunt. And that is because during the day their vision is just as good as yours or mine, but at night it will grow to be up to 6 times greater. In the meantime, on our right hand side you can find an ostrich. Oh, I think he just hid behind the tree. We should get a better glimpse up ahead. Oh, and there are the lions. As I mentioned, they are sleeping. Now, you guys are actually meeting a celebrity, but please no autographs. Go ahead and stay in the truck. The male lion that you guys see was actually studied and scanned by animators working on the live-action Lion King, and they used him as the model for grown-up Simba. So, if you guys watch the movie, they look pretty much the same. There he is, snoozing away. Now, they are getting ready for a long night ahead. The females are getting ready to hunt, as they are the hunters of the group, while the males will stay back and watch the cubs. And that makes Mufasa the greatest stay-at-home dad ever, and I will not take any arguments against this. Now, coming up on our right in just a moment, you'll get a better glimpse at those ostriches I mentioned. Ostriches are the largest birds in the world. They cannot fly, but they can run up to 40 miles per hour. That's probably because they only have 2 toes on each foot. And a little further ahead, you guys can find the bontebok, related to the white-bearded wildebeest we saw earlier. Now back to those ostriches. As you guys can see, there is a nest of ostrich eggs. Now, ostrich eggs are extremely strong and can actually withstand the weight of a grown man up to 200 pounds standing on them without breaking. Imagine if it were that hard to crack your eggs every morning. No, thank you. Now, my friends, we are getting ready to change ecosystems again. We are leaving the East Savannah and entering the Magadi Glen. Alright, up ahead you guys can find the warden's house, which unfortunately means we are headed back to the village and our safari is coming to an end. However, we might spot one more friend before we go. The warden's best friends, in fact, the Nigerian dwarf goats. Now, as you guys can see, these guys are small, but they do make some of the sweetest milk of all the goats, so the warden protects them in exchange for their delicious dairy. Now, they have excellent balance, which makes them great climbers, so you'll often see them hanging out on top of the truck of the warden or even on the roof of the warden's house. Now, Nigerian dwarf goats are very playful and especially social animals, so I think that it's only fair that as we leave, we give them a good bye. Well done, guys. Greatest of all time, I might say. Now, as our safari comes to an end, I would like to thank you all so much for joining me. I had a lovely time with you guys, as I hope you guys did with me. And I hope you guys enjoyed all